Climate change is the single greatest threat to humanity. Its impacts are felt worldwide, from rising sea levels to extreme weather events. Understanding the history of climate change is crucial to addressing this global challenge. In the late 19th century, Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius made a groundbreaking discovery. He found that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere could trap heat, leading to a warming effect on the planet. This discovery, known as the greenhouse effect, laid the foundation for our understanding of climate change. However, the world continued to industrialize, releasing more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. In the 1970s, a significant environmental shift occurred in Southeast Asia. Vast mangrove forests, vital for coastal protection and carbon sequestration, were converted into shrimp farms. This deforestation, driven by economic interests, had devastating consequences for the environment and local communities. These changes marked the beginning of a growing tension between economic development and environmental protection. In the 1990s, the world grappled with the issue of acid rain. Caused by sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides from industrial emissions, acid rain was damaging forests, lakes, and buildings. International agreements, such as the 1990 Clean Air Act amendments in the United States, were crucial in reducing acid rain. These efforts demonstrated that global cooperation is essential in tackling environmental problems. Yet, the underlying issue of greenhouse gas emissions continued to worsen. The history of climate change is a complex tapestry of scientific discoveries, environmental degradation, and policy responses. From Arrhenius's early work to the destruction of mangrove forests, these events highlight the growing impact of human activities on the planet. The following sections will delve deeper into specific natural disasters and the escalating urgency of the climate crisis. The late 20th and early 21st centuries witnessed a surge in climate-related disasters. The 1999 Odisha cyclone in India, a devastating storm that claimed thousands of lives, exposed the lack of disaster preparedness in vulnerable regions. This tragedy underscored the need for early warning systems, evacuation plans, and resilient infrastructure. In response, India significantly enhanced its disaster management capabilities. Just a few years later, in 2004, the Indian Ocean tsunami, triggered by a massive earthquake, devastated coastal communities across Southeast Asia. Indonesia, one of the hardest-hit countries, experienced unimaginable destruction. This catastrophe led to a global effort to improve tsunami warning systems and build evacuation centers. The world was beginning to understand the devastating power of nature amplified by climate change. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan, while not directly caused by climate change, highlighted the vulnerability of even the most technologically advanced nations. The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, a consequence of the tsunami, served as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of human systems and the environment. This event spurred a global debate on nuclear safety and the need for climate-resilient infrastructure. These major disasters, though tragic, spurred significant policy changes and investments in disaster preparedness. The international community began to recognize the importance of early warning systems, resilient infrastructure, and coordinated disaster response efforts. However, as climate change continues to accelerate, the need for adaptation and mitigation measures becomes ever more pressing. The first decades of the 21st century saw the climate crisis escalate, with increasingly frequent and severe weather events. In 2012 and 2013, the Philippines were hit by a series of powerful typhoons. Typhoon Bopha in 2012 and Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 caused widespread destruction, highlighting the country's vulnerability to extreme weather. These disasters emphasized the need for climate-resilient infrastructure and disaster preparedness in vulnerable nations. Meanwhile, economic development continued to clash with environmental concerns. In 2015, the Indian government authorized the construction of the Vizhinjam International Seaport, a massive infrastructure project. While intended to boost economic growth, the project raised concerns about its potential impact on coastal ecosystems and fishing communities. This case exemplifies the ongoing tension between economic development and environmental sustainability. Recognizing the growing threat of climate change, Vietnam embarked on a path towards climate resilience in 2016. The country implemented policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, invest in renewable energy, and adapt to the impacts of climate change. Vietnam's proactive approach demonstrated that even developing nations can take significant steps towards a sustainable future. Despite these efforts, global action on climate change remained inadequate. From 2017 to 2020, major economies continued to provide substantial financial support to the fossil fuel industry. This ongoing support for the very industries driving climate change demonstrated the political and economic challenges of transitioning to a low-carbon economy. The year 2021 brought a renewed focus on food security and climate resilience. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the vulnerabilities of global food systems, while extreme weather events continued to disrupt agricultural production. International organizations and governments emphasized the need for sustainable agriculture, climate-resilient crops, and strengthened food supply chains. The urgency of the climate crisis became impossible to ignore in 2022. Catastrophic floods in Pakistan submerged one-third of the country, displacing millions and causing widespread damage. This disaster, attributed to climate change-intensified monsoon rains, served as a stark warning of the devastating consequences of inaction. Adding to the alarm, atmospheric carbon dioxide levels reached record highs, surpassing levels not seen in millions of years. The history of climate change is a story of warnings ignored, opportunities missed, and a planet pushed to its limits. We have the knowledge, the tools, and the responsibility to act. Transitioning away from fossil fuels and achieving carbon neutrality are no longer aspirational goals, but urgent necessities. The future of humanity depends on the choices we make today. The time for incremental change has passed. We need bold, transformative action to avert the worst impacts of climate change. We need to invest in renewable energy, protect our forests, and build resilient communities. We need to demand accountability from our leaders and hold polluters responsible. The path forward is clear. We must act now, with courage and determination, to create a sustainable future for all.